Hello and welcome back to Sorcerer's Workshop, where we are always cooking up something new for you to use in your next D&D adventure. Today we will be continuing with our Making the Elemental series, and today we are going to be making the Earth Elemental. The Earth Elemental is probably the easiest of the elementals to make, as it sort of is, well, very rocky, unlike the other three, which are sort of very wispy in shape. It's again made completely out of XPS foam, as it's just a material which is just so good at making these sorts of shapes. So I start with the legs, and I just sort of cut these sort of squarish square sort of shapes, which are going to create the legs. And there's also sort of little feet that I want to create, sort of roundish feet that also sort of are good to make out of this material as well. So I had a bit of struggle cutting this thing for some reason today. It was a bit tough. These tough legs for a tough elemental, hey? So yeah, so we're cutting away here. Try and make it round, but don't make it too perfect. It's rocky. Earth elementals are, of course, very earthy, very rocky, so you don't want it to be completely round. I left some sharp edges, and later on I even cut some grooves into it to add to the sort of, well, earthish look. So here we are. Here are the feet and the two sort of legs. I glue them in, and as you can see, I've really cut some like really big grooves into there to feel like bits that have been like eroded or sliced with a sword or axe or something like that, and they've just sort of broken off, like, you know, when you hit a rock, or I don't know, or if you live near any cliffs, you'll probably seen this sort of straight cut off. Anyway, that's beside the point. Next part is we want sort of the bottom of the torso, the part that joins the two legs together. So really simple, just cut a piece that fits. I make it in sort of a pose, like a step forward pose. So really just cut a piece that fits. You see, I'm just going back, and that's way too big. And there you go. It is a really tiny piece that just goes between them. So I sort of make this pose like it's just taken a step and the other foot is going back, you know, how things step. That's what it looks like in the monster manual, and I really like that, so I kept it like that. The next thing is the main torso and sort of the back. So for this, another really easy thing, just get a big chunky block. I think it's about almost 10 centimeters tall, I think that piece is, maybe a bit more, maybe a bit less. Sort of smaller at the bottom and get a bit larger, but you want it sort of circular. So just like this, just keep cutting it down until it fits the shape that you're making this thing. Also on the back, as you'll see in just a second, I put a lot of sort of large, they're not quite spikes, but sort of parts of rock, I'd say. Large bits of rock that sort of are just, again, part of what is on the in the monster manual, which looks good. And also the eyes and mouth I just sort of drew on with a pencil, not drawn, but sort of engraved it into that with a pencil. There you go. These sort of spikes on top and the bottom as well, they just sort of add something so it's not just a flat black, and once you get the paint on there, it really starts to look really, really nice. Next step is getting the arms. So again, this is two pieces, obviously the upper arm, bottom arm, which is connected to the hand. You know how anatomy works probably, so I don't need to explain that. So this is again the same, not too smooth, not too circular. You want it sort of, well, like that. So it's got some roundness, so you can see that it is an arm, but it's still got enough edges and stuff like that that you can see that it's rockish, you know. So I just hot glue these on. One on this side and obviously one on the other side. The poses are just very much sort of down by its side, or one slightly back, like you could make it running, you can make it reaching, about to smash, do like a power smash or whatever. It's up to you because it's your mini. But I just make them just down by the side because I couldn't be bothered positioning them in some weird or wonderful way. So I get both of those on there looking good. One's a little bit larger than the other, but I'll trim it down in just a second. But yeah, just I put it in these areas because it's sort of where the back spikes meet the front. I also put tiny little spikes on all the on the top of the sort of where the joins are, because it just looked really like uneven there. you'll see in just a second. But yeah, you want sort of just an angle that sort of suits the rockiness and sort of size. So there you go, there is both the arms. As you can see, there's sort of little spikes that join it in just so it sort of looks like it has more shoulders, not just these jutting things out. And then I also put these hands, claws, you could call them whatever you want, that are sort of like that. They look a bit uniform. So you could make some shorter, some longer, so like smaller rocks, bigger rocks, whatever you want, or you can make them like this. But yeah, he's sort of in like a, you know, running forward sort of move. But there is, just before we paint him, a full look at the unpainted miniature. So now let's get on to painting. The first layer that I want to do is full burnt umber. I want just a brown. I don't want quite black. I want just brown all over this thing. Quite a bit of water so it goes in all the grooves, because there is a lot of grooves. But yeah, literally covering this thing. Don't have to be too thorough because you're going over with 2 other colors, is what I used. But yeah, just really a base color basically. I found base coating in just something in sort of a darker color it works for almost any miniature I found. With these elementals, this one of course I've done in sort of brown, which sort of matches, but if you watch the air elemental, here's a card, you'll see that I did in purple and it came out really good, I think. So yeah, burnt umber. You might think it's a bit dark if you're using the monster manual thing, but you see here it is quite dark, but we're going to use right here a tan dry brush. This is a tan dry brush all over it, and I mean all over it, underneath it, underneath the hands, everywhere. Don't like really dig it into the holes. You want still the sort of the mouth and the eyes to be sort of the dark, but really just covering it with the tan color. In the hands as well, make sure you sort of really don't be too careful, because one of the hands is they're a bit fragile because they're out quite far, but yeah, just really cover this thing. So yeah, it has a good look, and also lightens it up a bit, because once the burnt umber dried, I realized it was quite dark. So here it is, and I'm thinking, oh, it looks a bit washed out. So I added this burnt sombrero to it, and I think it came out lovely. It has this sort of rocky, eroded sort of look. Yeah, it's still gluing here, but I wanted to get this video because I haven't posted in a while, so I made sure that I could quickly film it up. So, whoops, fell over there. Let's straighten that back up again. So yeah, so the color combination works really well, with the dark underneath only showing up in some places, the tan over the top to lighten that all up, and then this burnt umber, again dry brushed, to really like just make it that good earthy sort of color. The mix of colors I think works really well, and it's a little bit out of focus here, I do apologize for that, but you can see the spikes really just light up from that. The only thing I don't like about this miniature is the face. As you've heard me loads of times, don't know how to do faces very well, but it just, if I could do it again, the mouth and eyes, yeah, anyway. Thank you very much for watching this video of how to make an earth elemental. If you have enjoyed it, please remember to like and subscribe, and comment if there's something that you do differently, or, you know, if you just want to tell me something. Alright, I shall promise to upload more regularly. Thank you, and goodbye.